We are in the studio. My name's Louis Pearson. I am the director of Virus Europe. I'm joined here with Melanie, who is, well, what is your official title? CEO, director?
I am the CEO of
brand
Virus,
manager.
brand manager, director, operations director, all the above.
Amazing, amazing. So yeah, we've kind of been doing something differently this year in that we're trying to put forward the brand in a more transparent, open way, and this is just a part of that. So we kind of started a campaign over in Europe at the moment, for example, where we've done an open letter to all the customers, and pretty much it was just an opportunity for me to break down to people what's been happening in the year gone by. I know business in Europe was a bit was bump and grind last year as well as the US, but we had our own set of unique challenges, own set of pivots that we had to make as a brand and as a team, and so it was a really, really interesting opportunity to sit and be open with people and be transparent. I don't know if the leadership teams before us had kind of taken this, I don't know, maybe this path with communicating with customers. So, but yeah, welcome anyway. We kind of want to take the first opportunity to kind of get on the same page with the customers right now. And things are looking a bit different. So, I think a great place to start in that is a recap on 2023 and kind of everything that happened during that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is a great chance. I know there's been so many people asking about what happened, all these conspiracy theories on the internet about like what virus did this and they're gone because of this. And as Louis mentioned, I mean, this is a great opportunity to just like tell everybody what happened to the extent that is necessary for people to know. It's not easy being in business, and Virus has been in the market for so long. It's been now 13, almost 14 years.
Going on 14 years.
So we've had, of course, our fair share of struggles, and what a lot of people don't know and realize is for how big our company, and our footprint is, we're still a small team, even at our height. Last year, we were at 25 people, 25 employees worldwide. So a lot of us wear different hats. And so titles are titles, and, there's just so much going on all the time. But what I can say transparently, a lot of things had happened, especially with the pandemic, and just people know the supply issues that also plague not just the fitness market, but so many other companies out there, right? So Virus was not immune to any of these things that happened. The support of all of our customers for the last 13 years has been pivotal in our growth and the success that was 2023. But to be very transparent, right, we did suffer significantly when supply was late, when we ordered too much, and everybody before the pandemic hit thought this was going to be a great year.
Yeah.
Everybody just bought so much stuff. And when I say everybody, I'm referring to all these clothing brands, right? Not naming any specific, but you'll see so many clothing brands now discounting a lot, right? Just because they just made too much. Virus, it happened the same thing to us.
Yeah, I think it was actually a really like a worldwide occurrence, 2022 as a business. Well, 2021 and 2022 as business years, coming out of the tail end of e-com. It was some of the best years of business that a lot of companies would have seen. And so, based on that premise, we went and ordered inventory relative to the numbers that we were seeing in 2023 to kind of support that scale and continue that growth. But, and as Mel, as you well wrapped it up, like, there's a lot of brands doing what we had to do in shifting inventory, getting rid of excess stock and stock that just maybe wasn't kind of effective enough, really. And now it's meant that brands, worldwide brands that have never done sales in their maybe 50, 60 years of business have had to do sales. Brands like Barber, brands like Patagonia, brands like North Face, Arc'teryx, all these incredible, huge houses of design have had to kind of follow a similar model as we did.
Exactly. And I think for us, those issues that, just like the brands you've mentioned, we were going through with Virus too, us being such a small, tight-knit company, it's also still a very startup-y, entrepreneurial environment, with a small team. And there were a lot of internal struggles too, not just external, right? There's the macroeconomic external factors, right? Just pure simple as the recession has affected all of us, not just in the United States, but worldwide, right? And as a brand, we did experience that hit, but like any business owner out there, anybody who knows the corporate world, right, there's always going to be internal factors, right? the culture not adding up, or suddenly you have people added to the team and the clash between old and new ideas. Do we keep doing the same thing? Do we iterate? How do we adapt? And I think the best thing I can say of what happened to us is there were a lot of internal struggles as well. And I'm not saying we had a bad team or anything of the sort, but it's just we had to adapt. Things were changing, especially with the pandemic, and us being an e-commerce brand, we were still very well set up, I would say, to prepare for everything that happened. You know, we don't have any brick and mortar stores. Everything's primarily online. We've had 13 years of building this amazing foundation, but all businesses come to a head at a certain point in their career. And with us, you know, we just felt that we could no longer adhere to our mission, right? I mean, you were experiencing this a little bit in Europe, and I know I run Virus Oceania as well. And if HQ started, you know, HQ being in the United States, started faltering a little bit on the vision, the culture, and how we wanted to manifest and execute our vision, right? That was starting to compromise the customer experience.
Yeah, and I think the primary things for me is a culmination of one, you know, not adhering to the mission statement. Two, it's kind of linked, but you know, its own beast on its own. The vision statement wasn't being adhered to. You know, which led to probably making too much apparel. You know, we were compromising on some products, which, you know, it's hard to admit, especially on, you know, in a long form content piece like this, but it's true. And I think it was the culminative factors that rather than try and solve, you know, 20 hard problems, you know, but 20 is just a rough number, but like, you know, there was a multitude of problems, you know, so rather than having to sit and solve them, just bite the bullet and close shop. And it seemed to be it was obviously a hard decision at the time. You know, words can't describe pulling the pin on something that you've worked so tirelessly to build. But I think the thoughts for me was, you know, you gotta pull the arrow back before it can be released. And you know, there's plenty of platitudes and anecdotal sayings that kind of go along those lines, but it is the truth.
No, I absolutely agree. And I think for me personally, right, the vision that I see for the current virus as it stands now, but also the future of this company, I truly want to do the right thing by everyone. And I'm not talking about, you know, our customers, even just us, the team,
Yeah.
fueling this and making sure we're meeting expectations and making
Mm-hmm.
sure we're actually providing the quality and the service that we have so much focused on since day zero, right?
Yeah.
People know Virus for astounding compression gear, for, you know, some of the best training products on this planet, right? And that is not by accident. But to be very transparent, right, with everything that was going on with supply, for example, us not being able to go overseas for 2 or 3 years because of the pandemic, it
Yeah.
definitely did affect the quality, right? So not only do we make too much, transparently, right? People have been like, sometimes my zippers are coming undone, or like seams are ripping when they used to not rip. And these are just simple constructual things that can be fixed with just better quality assurance and better control of the supply chain. So these were all the issues, right, that we were facing. And Virus is not the only one in which a lot of these things had been compromised. But I think for us, we're a small to medium-sized business, right? But we have the ability to still pause and have the space to actually just say, look,
Yeah.
let's do the right thing, and let's not give people something that we don't ourselves even believe in,
Yeah.
and let's take this time.
And I'd say probably a great place to kind of stop this bus at the next station, really. You know, the time that we've had now since ceasing to trade for a while has been such a breath of fresh air, you know, in terms of company restructure. You know, that includes the team, the launch structure, you know, moving to a more kind of well-rounded international line of production. You know, so like what you just mentioned, we're kind of we're defending ourselves for that in the future. And developing the best range yet, which is probably something I want to talk about, because obviously I'm a fan of Virus, you know, as much as I am part of the team. And the classics range for me has been something that I've just been really, really proud to get behind. I've been really, really excited. For a bit of context, essentially, in my opinion, the classic collection is 13 years worth of development put into one complete collection, you know, and it features products like the AU9s, AU11s, Origin V2s on a 7-inch short, so it's great for short asses like me. But talk us through the classics collection, and then kind of furthermore what we've been working on while we've kind of been quiet.
Yeah, sure. And then I'm sure by the time you see this episode, the classics will already have been launched, but that is going to be the collection that we come back with in the return to the USA market for Virus. And like Louis mentioned, it is a culmination of 13 years of feedback, of iteration, of just things that we have heard from people, right? To say, hey, I want certain things about this product to be tweaked, or this could be better, right? And we've taken our most classic pieces, right? Like you've mentioned the AU9, EAU7, et cetera, and we've just made them better. So the fabric's upgraded. We've brought in 2 new women's compression pants, for example, that don't have any seams going down the legs, especially women, like we complain about. There being too many seams in the wrong places, and then for the men, the seams just come undone. So we've been able to take all these little things that people have brought up and brought this to what we believe represents us.
Let me isolate on that before. Well, I mean, I wouldn't do my job right, but like our return rate is incredibly low in comparison to the market average. Average return rate is about 7%. We wouldn't even see a 2% return rate. But so all I'm trying to do is not make people sweat whenever we talk about things coming undone. It is the rare occasion, but for us, we're just never used to that. We were never used to, because of our lines of supply, we had so much QC, and then during that 2 years, we couldn't, there were elements of it we couldn't protect and
exactly.
So yeah, just wanted to isolate on
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. And this is by no means to scare everybody, right? But I think that's the part about taking accountability and ownership of what we're trying to do here, right? We truly are pausing purely because we don't want to offer something that we can't ourselves be proud of. And this collection, I truly believe, is something that is going to just really be a good representation of what Virus has been for the last 13 years, but more importantly, what we will be moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that you've done a really good job at like covering what the international production looks like, more opportunity for iteration, better opportunity for feedback, probably a better bridge between our customer and the factories now. And obviously we are kind of the middleman. But that's something, especially in Europe, where the feedback loops a bit, because it's a smaller business model, I can get feedback a lot faster than you guys can as well. And that's been something that has been integral in launching our equivalent of the classics in Europe. And it's been something that I've really loved doing, is like, it's not just it's everyday heroes kind of wearing our stuff, but we have some of the best athletes on the planet wearing our stuff, and to these guys live in this apparel, and to not take their feedback on board, and to not be listening to the people that wear it the most, or you wear it for the use that it was intended on being used for, is a tragedy. So definitely we're making a huge attempt this year, especially, well, more so than ever, to bridge that gap between athletes and factory to try and make a better product. But the next probably most significant change was the launch structure, and I think it's kind of like a 3-4 pronged approach to kind of some of the changes we're making. But the launch structure is the one that I think is going to be the best change for us. So just to add a bit of context, the launch structure now, we do aim on launching 4 to 5 launches this year, which is big, and it can nearly seem counterintuitive, but in actual fact, the more launches we do, the more control we have. And that's everything from obviously the volumes and quantities, but as Mel said, with regard to the feedback, we can make more iterations faster. Imagine turning an 18-month to 12-month feedback loop and changing that to 3 months, where every 90 days you can bring a new functional feature out, or you can bring feedback, whereas we never had that opportunity. So you talk further in on that launch strategy,
absolutely.
and what that means.
Yes, and so I think you laid out a good overview, and so to break that down even more, we had historically, 4 big launches, 1 per quarter. And even then, even before pandemic times, there were always issues with supply getting here late and us just hitting the season too late. And especially with apparel, it's such a season-dependent industry.
Yeah.
And for us, we don't want to let that define what we can bring out, nor do we want to let that limit, like you've spoken about, the iteration of feedback, especially from both just elite and just athletes also starting out, Everybody deserves to have quality gear. So also fresh gear. So why do we need to let the constructs of a social calendar, like an actual calendar, limit us? So right now our intention is to do 4 to 5 smaller, right, collection releases in a whole year, which is going to be both a significant undertaking, yet at the same time it allows us to address 2 major issues that we have seen happen in not just last year, but I would say the last few years of this company. So the first one being just excess stock. We not only want to produce what people want, we also don't want to be running into the situation where we have all the stock left over and we're trying to move it, or we just plain and simple, it's just waste, and we can't be doing that. We want to be a moral and ethical business while at the same time providing what people want. So to be able to address a more intentional way of production is going to be a big factor with this release. And the second one being, to the second point that this would really solve, is feedback, right? A lot of customers saying, hey, there's just certain things about the products I would like to see, or different colors, or maybe let's do this to this product, right? So with these smaller releases, we can also literally iterate that.
And I think it's one of the brutal realities of being in the kind of, I would position us as in the high level premium, ultra premium offering within our market, and so it's one of the biggest challenges brands like us will face is making what we need, not making any more than that, you know. And especially as the consumer becomes more eco-conscious, it is the hardest dance. It's, you know, about making enough product to sustain your business and sustain whatever growth model that you have, but also not, you know, over producing products so there's stuff just sitting gathering dust, because that's our worst nightmare. But it's something going forward we think that we need to address, and we kind of want to be one of the mavericks in addressing it in the right way, because I think in the next 2 to 3 years especially we will see major changes. The customer or consumer, especially within that ultra premium offering, is not actually going to buy as often. And so if we can create a product solution that, say someone had to buy 1 pair of Icon X2 joggers and not done them for a year, we're making a product good enough that, you know, obviously our products will last for way longer than a year, but whenever we look at the wearing cycle and the life cycle of a product, that's kind of the way we look at it. And we want to make a product so good that they only need to buy once.
Exactly.
You know, and it solves a problem with everything that they need.
Right,
you know?
right.
So, but no, I'm glad we cleared that up, and I think that's probably again another launch pad for the next thing, which is just the business model updates and what the business is going to look. I mean, the good news first and foremost is it's not going to look too different. But one of the primary changes is not attending as many, if any, events. That was a hard decision. Actually fell on my shoulders, and look, truth be told, going to events is actually really, really costly. It's nearly as much a PR exercise as it is a sales exercise, and I think to go and to justify that in your model, you need, you know, an actual events team, or you need a very, very mobile team in general. And look, you know, truth be told, we're probably not in a position to be running to an event every weekend. You know, we've got our foundational customers there. We're happy enough to serve them really, really well right now. I don't think it's the right time to scale and grow an e-commerce business right now. And so, you know, being okay with stepping away from events was a tough thing for us, but we have to do it. But the other 2 primary parts of the market are still D2C and B2B, and I know you head up the B2B. So what are some of the things we're looking at for there now?
Yeah, and that's actually a great segue. And just back to your point earlier, I think at this moment, yes, it's going to be difficult to go to as many events as we had been in the past. And events, actually, it was the sole platform for Virus as a brand, right, to really get in front of people and go back to true grassroots marketing. And I wouldn't say that there isn't a place for events, but what I will say is we're going to do that differently. So rather than us posting up on our own all the time, this is where going into B2B, business to business partnerships really matter. So a little bit about my background at Virus, because I've done a multitude of things, but my biggest strengths and my biggest position was heading the business-to-business partner side of Virus and negotiating with other partners, whether it's people like Rogue, people like Hyrox, other people like F45, all these different brands throughout the nation and throughout the world. But essentially, I would say strategic partnerships is going to be the key move. It's something that I have been working on integrating into our business model and our business strategy for the last 2 years. It's been phenomenally successful, right? I'm sure a couple of you probably listening to this, I probably worked with you personally, helping gym owners, other teams create different revenue streams just for collaboration via virus products, right? But more than that, it's about accessibility, getting our product out there to the people who need it and want it. And the only way to do that most effectively and genuinely would be through partners who are already in the space that we are, partners who align with our vision and align with our values. So I would say for us, it's going to be done differently. I'm not just talking about events as a platform, but if there's a partner in the state of Georgia or in Idaho who can do a local meet a lot better and represent virus a lot better than us being from California or, you being in Europe, right? It's like, why not? And I'd rather empower our partners. I'd rather empower others who support our vision to do the same thing. And it's about sharing that success with everybody. Obviously we're a business and we need to make money, but my whole philosophy is I want to make the pie bigger so that everybody can get a portion of the pie.
That's it.
There's no point in us just holding the pie. There's no point. There's no growth that comes with that. There's no adaptability. And so for me, the way I see it is we are not a clothing brand, we're a technology brand. And I want to work with people who understand that fact top down. We are in the business of creating the best training products on earth. But more than that, it's providing the technology that enables it to do so.
Yeah, and I definitely know I want to talk about the technology partnership more than anything at the end, but I could probably chime in on the direct-to-consumer market, direct-to-consumer sales channels and that part of the business model. That's kind of what I organize and manage. The biggest changes I want to bring to DDC is literally educating and informing the customer now, especially with our price point, the technology in our products. It costs a lot of money to make our product, considerably more than our market competitors, and so for me for someone to justify going and paying the price tag and all that stuff, I want them to know about the technology that they're buying. I want them to understand why it was made, the functional features, just the tech elements of it, the specifications, and because I know clear as day, there's nobody making compression, especially as good as us on the planet, and that's a huge statement. But it's a statement that I fully believe. But the plans for the future, and like I say, I want to isolate it, the technology partnerships, right? This for me is something, being a health physiologist, as my degree, and that's what I studied, and that was my first passion. My studies were in wearable technologies and health technologies and technologies used in sports, and so whenever I came on board with Varus, and we were having these conversations with companies like Ascensa or BioLiberty out of the UK and other companies like that, where we could be the apparel partner of these incredible tech dev companies. It was an incredible opportunity and is still one that we really want to take the company in that direction.
Yeah, I truly believe Virus is and will become the true intersection between apparel and technology, especially the direction the fitness market is going, right? You've got your Whoops, you've got your Oura Rings, you've got your Stravas, like all of these companies, right, trying to make waves in technology, fitness, health, and wellness. And apparel is truly an amazing and powerful vehicle for that, right? We all need to wear clothes, right? It's not like we're all walking out there with nothing on our backs. Clothing is literally such an integral part of our everyday lives that it needs to be intentional. It needs to be beneficial. You don't have to be an elite athlete, but you should be, in order to be a good human being and live a good quality life, right? You should have good clothing. And I think us partnering more with the notable partners you talked about, really, I think we can make big waves in not just the fitness and wellness market, but just general health and fitness in general.
And I think as well it falls under that mission statement alignment of helping people express a passion that defines them. And that's, regardless if you're trying to put 200 kilos above your head, or you're in a yoga studio, or you're sitting in a hospital with a wearable tech product and we're the apparel partners of that, we don't care. As long as you are out there trying to express a passion that defines you, whether that be a sporting endeavour, some athletic endeavour, something maybe physical, we make a product that supports you in that. And that's pretty much our belief, in a nutshell. But the technology developments and those partnerships, I think really that's where I see a future where we can highly contribute, right? And that's part of our brand values. We do not contribute to a market unless we feel like we can challenge the status quo. We can do something differently or do it better than whatever the solutions are being offered at that time. So,
Yep, exactly.
Other plans for the future, definitely having a more eco-conscious production line. So we've briefly discussed that, but that really for me takes a form of, we are using more eco-conscious fabrics, for example, our EcoCloud fabric, which we are in the process of redeveloping and maybe renaming, and bringing out another iteration. But currently, as it stands, it's 94% recycled. And each T-shirt has 8 to 9 plastic bottles in it, from the EcoCloud range, for example. But getting an eco-friendly fabric that performs like a historic, tri-blend or sports fabric, that's hard, because the foundational materials used in this aren't typically supportive of high intensity workouts, and they aren't built with durability in mind. So even like with that eco-conscious production, like what are some of the other things that we will be doing?
So yeah, just going off of your point, in addition to, well, something I want to bring up, and not just being eco-conscious about the actual garment production, but for Virus customers who know about this, even our packaging and the way that we produce now, we've made changes to the hang tags, for example. We've made changes to, the way we package things. So if you've noticed, I wish I had an example right now, but a Virus packaged T-shirt, right? It's basically like a Ziploc bag. You can open it, take out the garment, and then seal it up, and you can reuse the bag for other things. Our hang tags, for example, rather than it being like this plastic circle that you have to cut off, you can literally pull it open and then clip it back in onto another garment.
It's really funny you mentioned the bag. So I actually have a packaging bag. I keep all my important letters at home.
Yeah, me too.
In a Virus bag, because it's waterproof.
Exactly.
But it's pretty durable. You can reuse it. It's multi-use.
Exactly. And so I think, these little things that we have never really highlighted before to the consumer, it's just stuff that you as a Virus customer just know to expect because of the quality that we stand upon. I think that is a really good point I've always wanted to bring up. And, the last big thing I will say on all of this, just to give everybody more context and just to really paint the picture of why we have credibility to say the things that we've said. My father is the original founder of Virus. He's also the guy who invented all of these fabrics himself.
Literally.
We're Taiwanese. The most advanced fabric technology in the world comes from Taiwan. We can speak Mandarin. We can directly deal with the people who are making our stuff. And I could tell you right now, I've been to the factories myself, right? I've seen it. We not only employ eco-conscious efforts, we have ethical working standards. I really joke, it's not a bad joke, but we don't have child labor. There's nothing like that of the sort. It's really coming down to ethical production from start to finish, but also having that experience be really related in the final user experience, when you're holding a Virus package in your hands.
And I think there's something else I want to isolate in there. And it was something that I really noticed when I came on board the team in kind of late 2020, early 2021, was there are so many things that we do that are just considered normal and standard, that other competitors are like using these as like USPs to sell a product, or maybe like a definitive feature that might get them a sale. And that was one thing that I was blown away as the guy kind of being tasked with presenting this market, or this brand to market, was there are things that we're doing and there's details that we're sweating that are kind of overlooked by a lot of other people, or they'll try and make you pay for it.
Exactly. And I would say that's feedback I would like to give ourselves internally. We never really took the time to also demonstrate and bring attention to these, but we just know our customers pay attention. That is why people like us versus other brands. But ultimately, that is going to be one of the changes going forward as well, that I can say I personally will promise as well, as we're going to bring more transparency to that part of it. So getting real footage of how our yarn is made, how our factory production line, what that looks like, right? That is stuff that a lot of other brands just cannot do. Why? Because a lot of people just repurpose stuff and they slap a logo on it. We make everything in-house, including our own fabric. And I think the people deserve to know that and know what that process looks like, especially after 13 years of understanding, wow, Virus product is so good. but I don't know why.
Yeah,
It's
don't
so
know
good.
why.
It just
Exactly.
feels good. So now
Exactly.
we're going to show you.
Yeah, I love that. But no, to wrap up everything, I think the big thing that I wanted to achieve today was kind of get on the same page with the customer, and I feel like we've done a really good job of that. And lastly, to kind of leave them on the note of like we are going to continue making products to help people express a passion that defines them, and that's really what it's going to boil down to. We just hope this year we're going to put forward a business model that sets us up for more sustainable growth, while also kind of solving the problems the customer will have.
Absolutely. And I think ultimately the biggest word I will say that we will lead with for this year and moving forward is just intention, right? Producing
Absolutely.
with intention,
Yeah.
acting with intention, marketing with intention, and making sure we listen to what all of you are saying, right? The feedback that you provide us, it makes us more
Yeah.
intentional and
Yeah.
it holds us accountable as a business, which is what I feel is lacking
Yeah.
in just so many ways right now.
And that would probably be a good time and a good thing to close on is look, if you see us reaching out for help, or you see us reaching out for feedback, or we want your ideas or kind of maybe some thoughts that you might have, feel free to reach out. You know, we won't see it as unsolicited or unwarranted. You know, we're actually giving you license and permission to let us know what you think, because you know, unbeknownst to everybody, all the consumers out there, we can't read your mind. And so, you know, we just need, you know, one thing I'm noticing, especially managing Europe, you know, putting out that open letter, the feedback that I got was amazing, you know, and it's helping us better your customer experience, better the products we're bringing to market, better the brand experience and everything in between. And so do not be afraid to talk. We welcome it with open hands. And we actually really enjoy those conversations as well. So that will be my leaving note.
Yeah. No, and I just want to say thank you again, especially for those who have made it to this point. I've watched this whole thing, to always hold space for us, especially as business leaders, to really come and hold ourselves accountable and just really be open to everything that has to be said. The open letter that Louis mentioned, that will be sent out to the United States customers as well once we come back. And, you know, if you're able to take the time to fill that out, that, you know, we'll read every single response.
Every single one.
And you'll get, you know, a response from either myself or Louis here. And I think that is going to be the most crucial thing for us to move forward. So thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for listening. And if you have anything to add, please shout. Do you want to put your email in?
Oh, yeah. So my email is just my first name, Melanie, MELANIE @virusintl.com. I respond within 24 hours. I try to, so.
Yeah. Mine's Louis @Virus Europe. Louis as in LOUIS, Virus Europe, EUROPE.com. And remember, we make products that help you express a passion that defines you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.